Hi guys, Happy New Year. Today we're gonna discuss about web development and how to get started with that. Alright, but before we go into that, I want to discuss about the two main different paths that I see in development in general. The first will be, we can go into the direction of, let's say, hacking, maybe AI, crypto, um, IoT. So those are not necessarily your normal coding stuff. You can do well into these areas after you already have some coding skills into, I don't know, JavaScript, Python, or something. And this will say like it's complex programming, complex. And then besides this, we have what we mostly do, what we mostly have. It's the CMS, which is Content Management Systems. So this is basically everything else, but it's everywhere. Like you can see into this direction, the Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, any kind of platform that you can think of, X, and yeah. So basically those are the differences. What I'm doing on my channel, I only discuss about this part. This is interesting. I've worked with crypto, IoT, and I didn't do hacking and AI, but maybe in the near future. But this is mainly what we're gonna discuss. This is mainly what you're gonna build with me here. All right, so let's start with HTML. That's the first thing that we need to start when we're talking about web development. So let's say index.html. So in here, and by the way, I'm using Windsurf. It's got some AI capabilities. That's I'm using for coding for now. And let's say HTML5 here. Okay, so what we have here is the main structure of an HTML. You need to understand that there is HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Basically, HTML is the structure. Let's think of it as a house. It's the structure of the house. CSS is basically how the house looks and the colors and everything. And JavaScript is the thing that makes it dynamic. So let's think of a garage. You go to the house and you want to enter with a car, and you just open the garage. That's basically done with JavaScript, let's say in this case. Okay. Now I won't go too much into details with HTML, but basically you need to understand that in every HTML file you're gonna see, or you're gonna have this kind of structure. Like you're gonna have the whole HTML with the language that is chosen for that page. Now you have English, but depending on the locale of the website, if it's internationalized, it can be Romanian or German or anything like that. Okay, let's go back, and then you have the head. This is very important. You're gonna have meta tags, and this is important for search engine optimization. This is good. The viewport is for the responsive website and how it's gonna show in total. And yeah, let's say I want to modify this title, so I have document, let's say web basics, and after I save this, when I let's say we go to the website, you're gonna see here that it's changing the title of the page. So this is basically the head tag, and you're gonna learn more about that on other videos in depth. Okay, so now we're gonna discuss about some of the most important components in the body, like what tags are you gonna use in here. So let's say we use h1. Each page needs an h1 because that's basically the title of the page, let's say. So if I put here web basics 101, when I go to the page, you're gonna see it's gonna be the highest title on the page, and this is basically what is gonna be read first for indexes from Google. Okay, afterwards you also can have a subtitle. Let's say you have like h2, and this is the subtitle. Then you're gonna have like a p tag. Of course this goes from h1 to h5, but let's say p here as well. This is the paragraphs, so this is the long text in here. So let's say I'm gonna use some lorem ipsum so I can show you more text. This is where you're gonna put the descriptions and other details. Yeah, and after this you have one of the most used component, which is basically a division, is div. This is the most used because basically you can just name it whatever you want. You can give it a class, you can give it an ID, and within that you can do all of the things that you've done before. Let's say you have all of those within this, and it's basically a new component, and you can also separate them like with another division. So you have this division, you take this and you put in there. So now you see in the structure that is like a tree structure here, go from up to down, and you have 1, 2, 3 levels down. Okay, so this is we use divisions to divide components between themselves, and so we can arrange them properly into however we want. This is very good for styling purposes as well. Okay, besides this, you can use divisions, but let's think about components that have the proper names within the HTML. So if we go to the page right now, you can see here that we have the web basics. I will refresh you. We have the 2 separated parts now, and when I go into the inspector, you're gonna see here. So we have one division, and then we have the second division. Second division has the class container ID first. We're gonna use those for the styling and JavaScript in the future. And there are sometimes moments when you just want you know that this is gonna be a section with some components. In that case, don't use div. I'll recommend using something like section, so you can get all of this together and you put it within the section. And now when you go back, you're gonna see this section, so you know it's a section with 2 divisions within that section. And also one more tip is in the future, when you're gonna build any kind of navigation bar, you can use div. You can name it class navbar. That's perfect, nobody will care. I would recommend though to use nav, because this is more readable for search engine optimization. It's more understandable that this is gonna be a nav. Let's say we're gonna have an unordered list UL with some lists, home and some links, of course, home, about, and contact, let's say like that. And when you come here, when you check this, you see it's a nav class. So basically this is what the search engines is gonna look for when they go and they see nav. They know it's a nav bar. When you have like a div, it's a little bit more complex. You need to name it and such. Okay, right, so let's say you also want to do a footer. So you come here and you do footer, unordered list, and then we have the href, home, about, and contact. So let's go and check. So you have the basics of a page, you have the navigation bar, some content, and the footer. That's the most basic thing that you can do with HTML. All right, so now we want to jump into styling it. And when we want to style, we're gonna first, there are many ways of adding styles. We're just gonna talk about 2 here. You can do inline styles, like you just do style and you add here some style. We can also do, let's change here, we change the body. So basically what we're doing, we're targeting the tag from the page, and you see we have body here. So basically that's what we're targeting with the style. I'll add the background color and without color, and I'll make it, I want to make it red. Okay, so you have the background color red, and in this case you're gonna see after I refresh the page, the whole body is red. But now remember, we have the divisions, we have the nav, we have the section. We can choose whatever we want there. We can go with nav, and then only the nav is gonna be red. We can go with the div. Now you see, now if I only add a div, then it's gonna take both of the divisions, because you don't have any separation within them when you are targeting them with div. You need to search for a class or an ID like this. But now if I have, let's go with the difference between IDs and classes. Usually it's just a mental thought, so that when you have the ID, you know that you're gonna do first this is the how you target IDs. You need to use this. And now we're targeting only this. I can also do the class container, but in this case, wait, I need to add a dot because the dot is the way to actually target classes. That's the difference there. And here we're gonna see that we're targeting this, but now the difference is that I can also have another one like this, another container, and you're gonna see it's working properly, and it has the same classes. That's where you use classes, so that you can have components that might look the same or act the same. And IDs is mainly to target them as an unique component. So basically you have the first component and the second component. So now if I go up here and let's say I have first, I'm gonna not background color, we're gonna do it color because we want the text to be changed. So now you see this is targeted, this is the first, it has green, and this is blue in this case. Okay, now we used the style. This is inline style, but what usually happens when you're gonna develop a very big application or any kind of website, even this already is beginning to get clunky, like it has 68 lines. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna create another main.css because we're working with CSS. We're gonna come here and copy all of this. Basically we're copying this and we're going to the main.css and adding it here. Okay, so let's just format it properly because we want it to look good. Oh, good. So now when I save this, nothing is gonna happen here. Like okay, it happened like it changed the styling because we don't have any styles, and it's only the HTML. Now all we need to do is just to link that style main.css. Okay, this is the relationship to the style, and now when you come back, you're gonna see you have the styling in here. And this is very important because when you have any kind of project, you want to separate the concerns. So you have a separation of concerns, you have the HTML in one place, you have the CSS, and we're also gonna do the same with the JavaScript. Let's say we can have a script here, and let me think, what do you want to do with the script? The script will basically, let's add an I want to add something to delete the items here. So I have the navbar with the class, we have the UL. Now I want to add button, close, remove. Okay, and I want to add this down here as well. So we have 3 remove buttons. Okay, all we're gonna do this soon. Alright, so now that we added the buttons, let's look into the page. We can see we have the buttons, and now what I want to happen is when I press a button, I want to delete the links. Okay, so basically what we're gonna do, we have the constant buttons, which is basically we're querying to all of the buttons, and I'm gonna show you how that looks like. Console.log buttons. Just remove this. We can leave this. Okay, but I want to show the console first. As you can see here, we have the 3 nodes with the buttons, and when you hover to them, it's basically that button, and this is the HTML button. Now you're gonna do a for each for the buttons. So basically you go through each button and you add an event listener with click, and this basically is gonna listen to when you're gonna click to the button, and then it's gonna remove the element itself, the parent, which it's targeting for the parent because the button is this one and the parent is this one. So basically now when I press remove, you see it's gone. I had to refresh the page because it didn't update. Okay, so now we have this. You can see this is something that is gonna work with JavaScript. So this is kind of the basics. You have the HTML where you can put the structure, then you have the styling with this CSS, and then the dynamic functionality with JavaScript. So basically, like, okay, so now we have the script. Let's do the separation of concerns. We have a main.js file here that we've just created. So we need to take everything from here. Let's take everything actually like this, and we go to the main.js here, and we'll add it here. Okay, good. Let's actually make it look better. And now, since we did that, we just do the source and main.js. This is gonna target the main file from here, which is the JavaScript. And now we have this, we have the removes, and you're gonna see that. Okay, now I want to build a new to-do list, so you're gonna see it better in action. Let's remove everything from here, and let's add div, and there we'll have actually let's not add a div, it's not required here. We'll have a input. Which one? To-do list. Okay, input text type. No, we have the type text id input name to do item, actually to be named item. Okay, so we have this input. You're gonna see this. Let's add the button add. This is gonna add. Now it's not doing anything, it's just whatever it's removing, because we have that in the main.js. And with after this add, we're gonna have an unordered list, which is gonna be like an ID for to-do list, and the button is gonna be an ID of add button. And now when you check here, you can see you have the each one, which is the title, you have the input, you have the button, and the unordered list. Now let's go to the main.js and also see the HTML. So we remove everything. You have const. I'm gonna do const to do item. No, not list. To do item input, and that's document get element by ID to do item. Then we have the add button, and then we have the to-do list. Okay, so what's this gonna do is gonna target all of those three elements from here. And now I want, when I press the add button, when I press the add button, I'm gonna add an event listener for click, and this is gonna take the value from the to-do item input, which is this one. This is the value, and basically the value is whatever we put inside of that. And then we're gonna create a new element with the JavaScript. This create element basically is gonna create the list, and it's gonna take the text content, it's gonna add the text content into the list item, and it's gonna append to the list item, to the to-do list, sorry. Okay, so now basically when I come here and I want to add anything, as you can see, it's gonna add all of those. Now it's gonna be removed because whenever I refresh the page, this is not saved, because that's state management. That's another thing for the future, but this is mainly how it works. And we can also style it a little bit. Let's say we go to this one, we want to make the h1 actually let's go the body, and we're gonna make it text center align, text align center. Okay, so now we have it aligned on the center. Let's also we're gonna do stuff like this. I'm gonna go to the index, and here I'm gonna add a div, and I'm gonna take all of those, put it inside here, and now I'm gonna add a class of a container. When I come back, that container, not like this, I don't want the flex, I just want the background to be something like this so that we can see that. And let's make it max width of 600 pixels with margin auto, and this is gonna center it. Let's also add some padding, 20 pixels and some border radius of 10 pixels. So we have something like this. Let's also change the color of the h1. We have h1 color white. I want a pure white. How's that gonna look? Nah, it's not looking very well. Let's just leave it as black, but let's make it text transform uppercase. Okay, so now it's uppercase, and let's also style the button. So we go to the add button, background color. We have a green here. Let's do some padding, 10 pixel and 20 pixel, and for the radius 5 pixel. Okay, something like this. And now let's also style the button, the input, sorry. We have the to do item, and within the to do item we have the padding, the border radius on the border. Okay, so now it's look like this. So this is how we add the styles, and we have a to-do list within this component. All right, so I guess you guys understand the direction where I'm going with this. This is basically what you're gonna do on the front end, but this is just scratching the iceberg, because we need to understand more of the technologies behind. After this, there is the direction with going, choosing like a framework like React, or maybe Angular, or maybe Vue. So basically it's one of those. Let me actually go to Excalidraw and put it here. So basically you first learn HTML, CSS, JavaScript. And this is necessary. I hate people that already start with React and stuff. Like, I don't know, anything that is beyond this, because they're not gonna understand anything. They're gonna work with that, and they're not gonna understand why that is working. So this is the main thing that you need to learn. And after you learn this, you choose like a framework. You go with choose framework. It's gonna be, let's see, you either go with React, Vue, there is Svelte, and there is also Angular. Yeah, but those are just frameworks that are gonna make your life better to develop the applications. When HTML, CSS, and JavaScript is very good when you're gonna build like small applications, but when you're gonna work with enterprise or very big application, you're gonna need something that is gonna handle most of the cases. Like I don't know, you're gonna have different pages, and you want the same kind of component modules, so that you don't write the same component on every page. But there are many cases for this, and also you have state management, which is very big into this. But yeah, after you learn this is main front end. You also nowadays, I'm gonna be straight with this. You need to understand that only having this maybe it's gonna cut it. I don't know. I would also recommend going into something like backend. So you're gonna learn OP and principles here. OP and principles. And then you're gonna also choose the framework on the backend as well, which is gonna be from maybe Node.js. I don't know. It's gonna be Express, Node.js. If you're gonna learn, I'm working with both Node.js, Express, and I'm also working with Laravel on the backend, which is with PHP. And yeah, there are many more for this. You can go with Python. On the Python, I think it was, let me search for something, Python framework. Yeah, we can go with Django, just Python, and then maybe Ruby on Rails if you learn Ruby. Yeah, so basically it's the same kind of thing, but you need to have this in both scenarios. You need to understand this case, learn HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, because it's gonna help you along the whole road. So you need to understand this. Yeah, good. Now In my next videos, I'm gonna talk more about the backend and how we make the whole direction to this. Like, let's say in a web development scenario, you're gonna have infrastructure. This, you're gonna have infrastructure, then you're gonna have DevOps, then you're gonna have backend, then you're gonna have front end and design. Okay, so basically this is the main road. What we're gonna discuss only is this part, and maybe a little bit of this, but very little in the DevOps. Basically is the whole this stuff. Alright guys, so stay tuned, because in the next videos we're gonna discuss more about how to build web applications in real scenarios, and we're also gonna go to deployments, so we're gonna go into production with everything that we're gonna do. Cheers.